I was getting together my general, Titans update, checking in on what Cam Ward and the boys were doing. Alec Io Manor, Gunnar Helm, Anthony Hill. Joe, we can go on and on. A lot of fun, exciting players for the Tennessee Titans. And while I was doing that, as you can see, the quarterback's back behind me, getting a little work in. Mitch Trubisky, Will Levis, and of course, Hendon Hooker. In the big dog Cam Ward. Hey, is it the Wardians, the Psycho Wards? I don't know. I'm gonna put it on a hat. Whenever y'all decide what the what the Wardens are gonna be called, what Cam Ward's fan base is gonna be called, y'all let me know. I'm putting that on a throw pillow and on a hat. But more importantly, what?
There's a specific type of person in sports media that thrives on destruction. You know the type, the click merchants, the wait for a single sidearm pass to get batted down in a voluntary OTA session, just so they can run to the microphone and scream, "Bust." It's happening right now in Tennessee, and the target is Cam Ward. They aren't just saying he's struggling, they're calling it the final straw, before he's even played a single snap of meaningful football. But if you look past the loud headlines and the nasty narratives, there is a completely different story unfolding behind closed doors. One involving 5 a.m. meetings, shared personal tragedies, and a quarterback room that is much more volatile than the media is letting on. The narrative being pushed right now is honestly disgusting. We're seeing reporters claim that Cam Ward is the worst quarterback metric-wise, ranking him behind names like Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. They're calling him nasty in the worst way possible, focusing on a couple of missed checkdowns to Tajay Spears, while completely ignoring the context of a brand-new offensive system. It's the ultimate form of click farming. They want you to believe the Titans made a massive mistake, but they conveniently forget to mention the wow throws or the explosive chemistry building with guys like Carnell Tate. It's easy to yell into a mic about a bust, but it's much harder to actually look at the tape. Perhaps the most disrespectful part of this entire hit job is the comparison to Zach Wilson. You remember the BYU Miracle who climbed the draft boards because of one throw on air? The guy whose biggest NFL accomplishment so far has been his reputation as a MILF hunter off the field? Comparing Cam Ward to a player who barely started a full season and became a walking lowlight reel is lazy at best and malicious at worst. Brian Daboll didn't come to this team to work with a Zach Wilson clone. He came here because Ward is an athletic freak who can solve the problems a broken coaching system creates. But of course, the click merchants don't want to talk about potential. They want to talk about the mill hunter because it gets more engagement. But while the media is busy hunting for views, the locker room is seeing something entirely different. Tyron Montgomery recently pulled back the curtain on what's actually happening when the cameras are off. It turns out that lazy or inaccurate quarterback is showing up to the facility at 5:30 in the morning. He's not just there to punch a clock, he's leading meetings and staying true to himself. There's a level of authenticity here that the media hates because they can't put it in a box. Montgomery even talked about how Ward remembered him from a passing academy years ago. That's the kind of leadership and attention to detail that doesn't show up in a completion percentage tweet during May practices. The bond in this wide receiver room goes much deeper than just catching passes, though. There's a quiet, heavy maturity fueling this team that nobody is talking about. Both Carnell Tate and Tyron Montgomery have had to deal with the unimaginable, the loss of their mothers. When you have young men who have faced that kind of real-world
Made me make this video. Why is the title of the video what it is? It's because this dude is getting real nasty when it comes to speaking about Cam Ward. Let's hear what he has to say about Cam Ward already being a bust.
My biggest takeaway today, I walked out of the building, and to me, this was the final straw with Cam Ward. Cam Ward sucks. I'm willing to say it. Cam Ward's going to be a bust. I didn't like Cam Ward as a prospect when they drafted him because I knew he needed a lot of work, and I did not feel like the Titans were in position to
adversity. A few batted passes at an OTA practice don't rattle them. They've bonded over a shared pain that makes football look easy by comparison. Carnell Tate specifically is being praised for having his head on his shoulders and staying focused on the main thing, despite the wide receiver 2 labels people keep trying to stick on him. It's funny how the media loves to talk about excuses when we bring up context. If a house burns down because the sun was 110 degrees, that's not an excuse. It's the reality of the situation. Last year, Cam Ward was throwing to undrafted free agents who ran 5.240 times. He was literally writing personal letters to GMs just to get guys like Xavier Restrepo a chance. Now, he finally has weapons like Calvin Ridley and a refined Carnell Tate, and the media wants to judge him based on the days he had nobody. They want to ignore the fact that the Titans' wide receiver room has been a disaster for years, and act like it's all on the quarterback's shoulders. If we want to talk about who is actually struggling in camp, why aren't we talking about Will Levis? While everyone is hyper-focused on Cam Ward's sidearm release, the reports coming out of the actual practices are a roller coaster, and not the fun kind. Levis has reportedly thrown 4 interceptions over a 3-practice span, and some say it could have easily been 6. He's trending the wrong way, yet the media is silent. It's the classic distraction play. Attack the new controversial guy to protect the overrated established player. Levis might love his mayo and coffee, but his tenure as the guy is looking more fragile by the day as he continues to turn the ball over in sessions where he can't even be hit. The reality is that this quarterback room is one of the most dynamic and strange groups in the league. You've got Mitchell Trubisky, the poster boy for being overrated, Hendon Hooker, who many thought was the truth before his injury, and the high-variance duo of Levis and Ward. But the explosive potential of this offense, with Brian Daboll calling the shots, is terrifying for the rest of the division. When you see Calvin Ridley getting in and out of breaks, and Xavier Restrepo, the guy Ward fought to get on the team, making scrappy plays, you realize the bust narrative is going to fall apart very quickly. So, is the media tripping, or am I? It feels like we're living in a microwave culture where we want to crown someone or bury them before they even put on a helmet. They want to poke holes in a kid like Carnell Tate because he's in the same room as a Julio Jones 2.0 type of talent. And they want to trash Cam Ward because he doesn't fit the traditional mold. But the Wardens, or whatever we're calling the fan base now, know better. We see the 5 a.m. starts. We see the resilience in the face of tragedy. And we see the click merchants for exactly what they are. As we head into the next phase of the offseason, keep an eye on those interception numbers from Levis and the 5:30 a.m. reports on Ward. The truth is usually found in the things the loudmouth reporters refuse to mention. This team is building something quiet, something
foster that work and growth Cam Ward was going to need. Then they rushed him out there. Then he was terrible last year. By every metric, QBR, the worst in the league. Pro Football Focus, the 3rd worst, only ahead of Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. That's not my opinion. That's fact. Then everybody said, well, it's Brian Callahan's fault and it's the team's fault. And you watch Cam Ward, he's going to be great. And Brian Daboll wants to work with Cam Ward, and that's why Brian Daboll's coming here. And I thought to myself, hey,
nasty, and something that's going to shock the people who think a May practice is the end of the world. But hey, that's just the reality of the game. Love your people, stay blessed, and don't let the click hunters tell you how to think. We'll see you in the next one. What's even more wild is the story behind how this roster was actually constructed. You have to realize that Cam Ward wasn't just handed a silver spoon. He was out here acting like his own lead scout before he even stepped foot in the facility. While other quarterbacks were out celebrating their draft stock, Ward was reportedly writing personal letters to every single NFL general manager. He wasn't begging for a job for himself. He was advocating for his teammates. He was pounding the table for guys like Xavier Restrepo, a man who the scouts dismissed because of a 5'2" 40 time and a shorter frame. Ward saw the dog in his teammates when the league only saw metrics. That's the kind of locker room equity you can't buy. And it's why these wide receivers are willing to run through a brick wall for him. The media calls it favoritism, but in that building, they call it loyalty. And that's a dangerous thing for the rest of the league to deal with. You also have to ask yourself why a guy like Brian Daboll, a man who basically built the Josh Allen blueprint from scratch, would be so aggressive about getting his hands on Cam Ward. Daboll isn't looking for a safe game manager who can check the ball down and lose a playoff game by 3 points. He's looking for the freak factor. He's looking for the quarterback who can turn a broken play into a 60-yard bomb while falling out of bounds. The media loves to point at Ward's lower completion percentages in high-pressure situations, but they said the exact same things about Josh Allen when he was coming out of Wyoming. Daboll sees the raw, unrefined power that makes system coaches lose sleep at night. He knows that you can teach a guy to read a linebacker, but you can't teach a guy to have the it factor that Ward carries every time he walks onto the grass. This isn't a Zach Wilson project. This is a Josh Allen evolution, and the people who can't see the difference are going to look very foolish by mid-October. But maybe the most interesting thing about this entire situation is the culture shifting around the fan base itself. There's this internal debate brewing that's starting to take on a life of its own. Are we the Wardians? Is it the One Ward movement? Or are we leaning into the Psycho Ward energy? It might sound like just a bit of fun on a throw pillow or a hat, but it actually represents the siege mentality this team is adopting. When the Brown-style media starts attacking your guy before the preseason even starts, it forces the fans and the players into a corner. It creates a us-against-the-world atmosphere that can turn a mediocre team into a championship contender overnight. Cam Ward isn't just a quarterback anymore. He's becoming a symbol for everyone who's been told they're not quite right or too unconventional for the big stage. And if the way he's handling the pressure is any indication, the Psycho Ward is about to be the loudest place in professional football.